What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 30. My name is Zach Graham, your host here on the North End Podcast, joined, as always, by my good buddy, on record as my best friend. It's Ian Michaud, a.k.a. E, a.k.a. Le James, scoring record, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew EC, a.k.a. Eastradamus, a.k.a. Pap E. O'Daniel, a.k.a. Chili Willy, a.k.a. Eon Stonkel. We're going to put that Eastradamus name to the test a little bit later on. We've got our own version of over-unders coming up. Did not want to step on the toes of the Moon Tower Soccer Boys, so we waited for their over-under game, their annual tradition, to be posted, get that on the record, and then do our own thing here. We got preseason to talk about, other Austin news, last business day, MLS news. E, how you doing?
Doing great. It's a beautiful day. Beautiful day to talk about some Austin FC. Beautiful day to talk about some MLS. Definitely excited for the over-under. Should be fun. Should get some interesting predictions on there. And excited to see what everyone else thinks of the over-under as well. If they want to chime in, have a little skin in the game.
For sure. So we'll get to that. The nonsense segment usually closes out the pod here. And I guess speaking of nonsense, we can put a wrap on draft season because if anybody who missed it, the audio version is on the podcast feed. You just got to scroll down one from this episode. The full video replay of the live stream Best Ball Draft available on the YouTube page. At the North End Pod, did a little fantasy draft with ourselves, Moon Tower Soccer, We Are Austin TV, Texas Ring of Fire. It was a blast. We'll be talking smack about that league the rest of the year. So just wanted to, I guess, put a bow on that, at least until week one, when we get to see some fantasy points scored.
It's going to be fun.
And we certainly saw some goals scored out on the Verde Hill. I guess now it's Verde Hills out there by the St. David Performance Center, because Austin FC taking on Louisville City from the USL in their fourth of 6 preseason games this spring, or I guess technically still in winter, but I don't know. You and I are in t-shirts and shorts here right now, so it feels like spring. New Verde Hill, which I think Coach Wolf actually commented on post-game in his media availability, because for any of you that have been out to the Verde Hill before but weren't there this past weekend, obviously the traditional spot is kind of out there about like 2.5 fields away from where the action is going on. And, people smarter than us figured out between the El Paso match and this Louisville match that you can actually just go kind of stand in what is actually the north end of that pitch.
Right.
So I guess fitting for us to be able to go participate there last Saturday, but a much better view of the pitch. Although the goal right in front of us there on the north end of that field, kind of blocked by the fence there. Yeah. The anti-crumb fence, I think, as you called it as we were walking out, those little holes that you could peek through if you went up next to it. But I think I was satisfied with the first team's performance, to say the least, not just in this match, but the last one. Let's go ahead and get into it. Another 120-minute scrimmage here. So 2 full 45-minute halves, an additional half-hour period afterwards. The first 11 that we saw for the Verde and Black, probably not too dissimilar from what we expect to see on the 25th, which is now Rodney Redis days away, 11 days till we kick off with a game that counts. We saw Stuver in net, the back line of Zan Kolmanic on the left for the second straight preseason match, getting the start there on the left, if I recall correctly, going back to El Paso. Second time in a row we've seen the Vicenen-Cascante pairing in the middle and Nick Lima on the right. We saw another start from Owen Wolf in the defensive midfield, this time filling in for the captain, Alex Ring. And there's actually some conversation, we can talk about that later, about is Alex Ring still the captain?
It's true.
Danny Pereira was back in there after getting the day off against El Paso a week ago. So that was good to see. And then, what I think is the most potent front four in the league, Diego, Seba, Rigoni, and Zardes up top. I guess, first of all, what do you think about this lineup? What do you think about this 11 compared to what you think is going to happen on opening day? Because there's certainly multiple ways we can go at certain positions. I think fullback being the position that most people have their eyes on.
Yeah. For my expectation going forward, I don't think we see Wolf starting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a big reach there, but the cohesion is being built, especially on that back line. Vicenen looks great. There's been some crisp balls out of the back. I do want to say, I don't know if I think Verde Hill North End is my favorite. I don't know.
Really? Maybe prefer the OG.
I mean, I'd like to be able to see both the goals, the action in front of both goals, and it definitely got a little frustrating where the anti-crumb device was placed just because we missed the action there.
Yeah.
But back to the original question. Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously Ring. If the captainship comes into question, I think I'm more open to having that discussion than I am to benching him, or not necessarily not benching him, but not starting him.
Right.
I've been wondering what's up with Valencia, and we had a brief discussion about that potentially with his green card. As you know, I'm a big fan of him, and was potentially looking at a pair of maybe him and Danny back there, which I think really complements the two players better than any other kind of combination duo that we can put back there, just given their play style. Obviously, the four up front are going to be absolutely dynamic. Driussi had a really nice quote about Seba. I saw maybe last week or right around the Super Bowl, where he just said that he's been telling people, throughout his vast career how good he is, and that there's plenty of times where he doesn't even think a ball can get to him, and somehow Seba finds him. So that's super exciting. I think obviously Driussi is primed for a big year in this role up front with this team. Other than that, remind me, Louisville had 2 draws versus some other MLS squads this preseason?
I believe so. I think one against Nashville and one, I don't remember the other team. And again, those teams could be playing second, third string guys. Okay. You can't take too much out of a preseason result, especially one that you don't watch with your own eyes. But I mean, I think Louisville was 4th in USL last year.
Yeah, they're clearly not a slouch team. It wasn't like,
I mean, it was a day for former Austin FC players to be cited out there. I mean, Manny Torres is on Louisville and looked like he was kind of starting, looked like he was at right back for them. And he did get the start for Louisville. So it was good to see Manny again.
It was a little Mane sighting. I imagine we'll get into that.
That's last business day at this point.
Yeah, that's facts. But yeah, I mean, it was a great day at the Hill. Got to see the Austin FC2 squad. Got to see the big boys up front there. Had a great time, and the team's looking sharp, bro.
Yeah. So first half, team really took care of business. Like they dominated that first 45 minutes. Didn't take long to get on the scoreboard. Zardes ends up getting kind of just a breakaway one-on-one with the Louisville keeper.
Yep.
Kind of dekes around him to the left, taps it in. One of the easier goals that we've seen scored here in this preseason. So it's good to see Zardes continuing to be a threat here in the preseason. I believe that's his second goal. I think he scored against Cincinnati 2 weeks ago back in Florida. 7 minutes later, Driussi on the break, not so alone like Zardes was, but coming down the right side, picks out his spot and just buries it in the back of the net. So 24th minute, 2-0 Austin. And there was really no looking back after that. Goes into halftime 2-0. Same 11 actually comes out for the second half. So I think I mentioned last week that, we saw a lot of those presumed starters and main rotation pieces that, your Ethan Finleys, your Maxi Rudies. We saw those guys get good run against El Paso. And I think I had mentioned we probably see these guys get ramped down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm used to in basketball preseason. You kind of it's almost like a bell curve. You go up, you get your full run, and then the last game and a half, you play the second, third string. I don't think that's the way. I'm learning here too. That's not the way soccer is going to work, right? Because I think they're ramping them up to the full time, right, to be able to play that full 90 plus sometimes. So So again, it's a learning experience for you and I as relatively young soccer or diehard soccer fans, right? Which we certainly now consider ourselves still learning.
Yeah, it was an interesting thing to see that same 11.
Yeah.
Especially in that preseason game. And definitely I'm still trying to figure it out because I don't know. But it was interesting to see that 11, the way that they've used Maxey pretty sparingly, him getting his own work on the sidelines, which we've seen quite often, kind
2
of
weeks in
away
a
from
row.
the team. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I like you said, we're learning here, and I'm going to go ahead and trust in the wiser minds who are operating this whole function of the team here.
The actual soccer minds, the ones that are paid to do it.
Yeah.
So like we said, same 11 in the second half. Austin gets right back to work. Fagundes scores in the 51st off an Emiliano Rigoni assist, which was for us blocked by the crumb blocking device. Correct. There on the fence. But we did, of course, the club, now that they're back home, putting out more content around these preseason matches. So we did get to see the inside the fence replay there on Twitter. It was posted shortly thereafter. And for our best ball team, great to see Rigoni getting in the box score there. Yeah. Louisville does, I guess, announce their presence here. 64th minute. I forget the guy's name. I rewatched the replay that they tweeted out, the Louisville team account.
Okay.
Fantastic fucking volley from this guy. I apologize for getting this guy's name, but like, it was a great shot, and like credit where credit's due. They're a good USL team. We know how good USL teams can be,
for sure.
And so that made it 3-1. And I wanted to mention that because credit to that guy. On the replay, I don't think there's much any of the defenders or Brad Stuver could do about that one. It was just a great play.
Yeah. I'll have to check that one out again because I'm not recalling it right off the top of my head. But a good team.
Yeah, for sure. And again, you want to bring in, whether it's an MLS side, USL, or what have you, or the Roots Academy, you want to bring in teams that are going to give you at least some sort of pressure, some sort of challenge in there.
Absolutely.
And these guys certainly weren't just a step over team. A lot of guys warming up, looked like a full new 11 kind of right at halftime, went over to the side field, started getting loose. But we did not see them all come in at once. And the first sub actually looked like it was made a little bit before they intended. I didn't see the initial injury or what a collision, whatever happened, but I think you were the one that pointed out to me, Rigoni is over on that sideline, not moving well. Yeah. We got the oversized binoculars out and tried to check it out, get some crumbs. And like, I think for those standing around us, like our consensus was it was a non-contact injury. So we immediately thought, okay, soft tissue. He was grabbing at his thigh. So maybe quad, hamstring, whatever. I was then corrected later on Twitter. Somebody said it was a contact injury, looked like a knee to his thigh. So maybe like a dead leg type, Charlie Horse type of situation there. And that would make sense, right? Because we were also watching him when he did get subbed off in the 72nd minute. Ethan Finley came on for Rigoni. I mean, I think we kind of breathed a sigh of relief when we saw what he was doing on the bench, right?
Yeah. And I now that I have that information, I actually feel way better about it. Because obviously those non-contact injuries are the ones that are pretty devastating most of the time. You pull something, you tear something. And that makes sense with the timeline of how much he looked injured.
Yeah.
To when he was, obviously we saw that he was fine. Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming most people have had a Charlie horse or dead leg of some kind, and they're quite painful in the moment. He definitely wasn't moving well. I got much more concerned when he was like trying.
Yeah. I think he received a pass, right? And then just immediately gave it up.
Yeah. And was like, I don't need this. Like, I got to get out. But then to see him on the sideline with Maxey kind of, having a little laugh, getting his hoodie on and, staying warm. It was a little chilly out there. But yeah, that's good news because initially that was the word around the hill there was that he had done something pretty catastrophic.
Yeah. Just kind of pulled up lame. Right. And like you mentioned, and he didn't even wait for the sub to be ready. Like he just walked off. eventually after trying to kind of push through it. But like you mentioned, he went right when he got to the bench. Maxi Urruti had made his way over there before he even started warming up for his final 30.
Mm-hmm.
And Rigoni was immediately just cheesing with him, joking around. And like, if it was serious, he would not be doing that. He would be upset. Absolutely. At least you would think.
Yes, we would hope so.
So shortly after that, more like a planned sub pattern here, I think. 4 guys come in. Amro Tarek, Hector Jimenez, Alex Ring, and new official Austin FC player, Will Bruin, who was, I guess, last week. We can just say this, don't have to save it for the news portion. We got the Verde smoke last week from Anthony Precourt. There's always the small chance where you're like, well, maybe this is a surprise. It wasn't. It was just Will Bruin, the expected signing. So we've talked about him on previous episodes. I don't think we need to, give too many more thoughts on that. Those 4 guys replaced Leo Väisänen, Jassi Zardes, Diego Fagundes, and Sebastian Driussi. Excuse me, almost said Driussi. Yeah. Getting my extra time on there.
It's preseason.
Yeah, it's preseason for everybody. I think the most interesting thing about this group of subs is that Hector Jimenez came in for Diego Fagundes and played left wing the rest of the match. And I didn't know this, but apparently Hector Jimenez has played kind of in the like a midfielder, like a wing, like kind of winger earlier in his career. He later in his career is when he became a defender. I did not know that. So we've kind of talked, especially with some of the guys we haven't seen that maybe have taken some injuries and they're being held out as precautions, especially on that left wing. Like maybe Jimenez is going to play some minutes behind Diego Fagundes this year. Do you think that's maybe in the cards now? Because we've seen some funky lineups up top, not just this match, but throughout the preseason.
I mean, that was some serious foreshadowing. And then I believe it was Jeremiah who pointed out that Jimenez is still listed as a midfielder on our roster page.
Oh, did he?
I think I saw that on Twitter. I don't want to mistweet him.
Right.
But I'm fairly certain I saw him say that on a thread after we were like, whoa, Hector in at left wing here.
Yeah.
What's going on with that? And then I'm pretty sure I saw Jeremiah tweet out that he's officially listed as a midfielder.
Interesting.
Now, it was easy to see him in that position because he is very slow. And it's just multiple times I was like, I just had to be like, wow, he's really on there out on that side. And he looked out of place.
Sure.
I don't know if it's just who he was or he was, just trying to get reacclimated to the position. I don't know when he made this official transition, but if he's been playing, in the back for the last 4 years, give or take, it's definitely going to create a little rust if you're trying to get an offensive, mindset kind of going there.
For sure.
I mean, ideally, I would like to see, obviously, the versatility of Rigoni being able to play with both of his feet on the opposite side. If those guys need to be staggered, you get Finley in, potentially, Johnny, we can move Johnny around. I don't know if we're going to see Hector in any sort of game of substance that matters, where he's going to be out there on the left wing, but I would not be shocked to see him in that role, in that capacity, in some of these cup games, and maybe if we're, have quite the lead, games out of hand, and you get him in there.
Yeah, for sure. It's obviously never a bad thing to have guys that have that type of utility, right? You look at John Gallagher and what that's done for the team. I think what I was reminded of is the mic'd up video that the media team put out with Hector as the subject a couple weeks ago. I think they were still out in Florida, and he was talking to Väisänen on Leo's first day. And Leo had asked him, what position do you play? He said right back, left back. And then he goes, wherever I'm needed. And so that may come to pass this season for Hector Jimenez. So those were the subs there in the 77th. We get to the full 90, 3-1 Austin. The 11 completely changed then. Obviously, those guys that had subbed in stayed, with the exception of Will Bruin, because we saw Maxi Arruti get in up top for the final 30 again. Matt Bersano replaced Stuver in goal. We did see the preseason debut of Adam Lundqvist there on the left, which also gave us the preseason debut of John Gallagher on the right. That might come up in the over-unders later on here. Then Kip and Amro Tarek, the center back pairing there, Sofian Jeffo and Alex Ring in the defensive midfield, Jimenez up there on the left. We saw Rodney Redis kind of playing the 10, in the middle there, which he didn't look terrible. I think there was only one play on Rodney Redis's day where you and I think Hernan was standing there and maybe RB, and we kind of just chuckled oh, there's Rodney. But I don't think he had a bad day at all. Finley on the right, and like I said, Maxi up top. 4 minutes into that extra period, we did get an Alex Ring goal, so 4-1 Austin. That was the final score. We and others on the Hill mistakenly credited Hector Jimenez for that goal. And even though it was on the opposite end of the field, sometimes the info from Verde Hill can be, it can be a little shaky, especially when the crumb blockers are all over the fence there. So, 4-1. 9-1 aggregate score over the last two preseason matches against these USL teams. Exactly what you want to see. And outside of, Rigoni taking that knock, and we've heard from other sources now that he is fine. He will be good. Those are our number one goal. You stated it when preseason started, is minimize the injuries. And we got two more, so I'll knock on wood here. Two more preseason games coming up this week. But we're doing a great job at that so far.
Absolutely. And it looks like, the guys who were dinged up are out there moving. They're training. Obviously we haven't seen them in the games, but trending the right way. As we kept our goals for this preseason pretty plain. Just don't get hurt. Just don't get hurt.
And I think we can kind of talk about some of the other crumbs that we picked up, courtesy of the oversized binoculars out there, at least from the first team side of things. We saw kind of at the beginning of the match in that first half, the trio of Lundqvist, Ring, and Rodney Redis were on the performance center side of that field, riding the stationary bikes that they have set up there, just getting loose. We did see, and I think we may have been the only people to see him. We did see Johan Romagna come out and join those guys. He did not get on the bike, but once he came out, they were all leaning up against those bikes and talking to MLS and World Cup official Ismail Elfath, who is resides in Austin. He pulled up and right after the first half started, and walked in there and was kind of chopping it up with those guys. And so Romagna is still here. There have been more. The Romagna crumbs on his Instagram definitely continue to, I think, lead towards him making his exit from Austin at some point soon. And we did, like you said, some of those injured guys we saw kind of getting some work in, or look like they had already done some sort of rehab or workout. Romagna did not look like one of them to me.
No.
And again, we only saw him for 90 seconds, and then he retreated back inside the facility. And for, again, like I tweeted on that match day, the only edition of Ref Crumbs I think we will ever have, hopefully. If you're in the Ref Crumbs, it's probably rarely going to be a positive thing. But Elfath did come in and officiate the second half and the extra period. So I don't know if he was running late or they were just rotating officials and everybody's getting some work. It's preseason for them too. But that was kind of cool to be able to see from. We would not have seen that if we weren't on the north end, Verde Hill, right?
Correct.
CJ Fodre, another one of those guys who, we haven't seen. Obviously, we have high hopes for Fodre in the long run. I don't think any of us are expecting too much out of him from the first team this season. It's just not how MLS works typically. He was in sweats and slides on the sideline there, hood up. I got to tell you, man, I don't think he looks happy to be out there, and nor should he, right? I'm sure it's frustrating for the young guy, whatever he's dealing with. And like we said last week, when we saw him jogging around the field, he was doing some work. So whatever's going on, it's not dire. I don't think anything there's no ACL tears there. There's no dire hamstring pulls or whatever it is. I imagine we see him back in training soon, whether that's, before week 1 or a couple weeks into the season. I do think he makes an impact with this team in some competition, in some form this season. Just got to get healthy first. And you have to think with the other top-notch aspects of this club that the training staff is also on that elite tier and that they'll have him back soon, I would think.
I think I'm with you on that one. And he's definitely chomping at the bit to get going.
Yeah, of course. A competitive guy like that, obviously we've seen some of his interviews he did before the draft. We saw what he did with RB at Texas Ring of Fire, that little conversation they had. He's hungry. And he's ready to go, like you said. So I think everybody excited to see him get back healthy and start his career with this team. Absolutely. Hopefully a long and storied career. You also mentioned Johan Valencia earlier. We did catch a glimpse of him. He had been out of the country, I think back home, and I guess like the rumor was, he's back there trying to get his green card.
Mm-hmm.
From what we were told, we are not yet on Instagram, although, spoiler, we're going to have an Instagram very soon, hopefully later this week. Apparently, he came back and with some other guys who have gotten their green cards. And again, the point of that is to get the international slot back for the club in terms of the MLS roster rules. The fact that he didn't post, to our knowledge, any sort of photo from the ceremony of getting the green card or any sort of party afterwards, and just kind of showed back up. We saw him jogging very slowly right when the first half started with the group. And it looked like it was actually some of those FC2 guys / academy kids that he was jogging with. I didn't see him the rest of the day, but he is back in Austin. So I guess I assume if he did in fact get that green card, the club will put out a press release soon. And if not, unfortunate, but not the end of the world.
Absolutely.
Well, like we mentioned, there was an Austin FC2 game going on simultaneously and actually just on the other side of the Performance Center there. So you couldn't quite stand in a spot and see both matches, but you could take a 30-second walk and see whichever one you wanted to. So we actually pulled up. We actually saw the FC2 match first and stopped there to kind of check out who's on the pitch, who can we recognize, and who are they playing? Because we certainly haven't committed their preseason schedule to memory. So we're in the last business day segment. Austin FC2 scrimmaged against the Roots Academy, which is I believe the rebranded name for Sonny Guadarrama's Academy, which we've talked about obviously here on the podcast. And we knew for sure that they were not on the preseason schedule.
Yeah.
So we were told, or we kind of went back to the schedule, right? Houston Dynamo 2 was the team that was on the schedule. And then we were actually told by somebody in the know after the fact, slid into our DMs, which is one of a first for somebody like giving us actual information. It's not Austin FC information, but it was information nonetheless. Apparently Houston and the Dynamo team out there in Florida right now doing their own little preseason trip. Apparently they had some visa issues with an unnamed number of players. Unspecified number of players with the first team. Yeah. Honesty, I didn't know that visa issues could prevent you from going from Houston to Florida, but apparently maybe flying. I don't know. Right. It doesn't. Anyways, what the information was that the visa issues for the first team players. So Dynamo took enough Dynamo 2 players with them to Florida where they had to back out of the scrimmage. Roots Academy stepping up. Let's talk about some of the names we saw for the Austin FC2 team first. Some of the guys we noticed right off the bat, Damian Loss was in net. Eric Lopez was over there on the bench. Again, obviously Loss signed with the first team in a supplemental spot. Lopez on the FC2 contract. And then we had, for some period of time there, we had Hernan from We Are Austin TV hanging with us, really helping us with some of the names and the faces that he's a little bit more familiar with from the U17s. Charlie Reed, the U17 keeper, or I think former. I don't know if he's aged out or not, but he was also out there. All 3 draft picks outside of CJ Fodre, the other 3, I should say, Valentin Noel, Jackson Valti, Sal Mazzaferro, all out there and started for FC2 in this one, which I guess we can pause my, long monologue about FC2 here and say, is this a good sign to you, E? Does this point to the fact that we are going to hold on to? I think Valentin Noel, we knew, was a certainty going to be involved in the franchise going forward. But now Valti Mazzaferro, we've seen both get some time with the first team, and now moving over to the Austin FC2 side of things. Does it look like we're going to keep these guys around?
I think so, yeah, absolutely. It was interesting to walk up on that side of the field and catch that game first, especially given the interesting roster of the team we were playing that who we weren't aware of, was the Roots Academy to start.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think all those guys should have a roster spot. It's difficult to, this is our first year with this squad. It's difficult to understand how these rookies kind of slot in and what their future is with the team. But I mean, those are three guys who have shown out well, haven't done anything that's like, okay, that's, a no-no or, obviously some sort of poor behavior or anything along those lines. And with that Austin FC2 team, man, they looked good.
Yeah.
They looked good.
Well, and I do think that all three of those guys, Noel especially, first round pick that we traded up for, should be above average players at worst in next pro. Again, but we will know more as that season begins and kind of trickles on throughout the year. But yeah, 100% agree. No other notes from me there on those three guys. I think we were talking about it on Saturday, right? It's so good now that we are not going to have to, what I felt like, waste these second and third round picks from the super draft without that minor league team, because there's no place for players like that on the first team, typically coming out of the draft in their first year. So being able to actually focus on guys that you can plug into the FC2 system with that vision of potentially moving them up in the franchise, it's just so much more valuable to the league, not just Austin. Like for every team needs to have one of these, next pro affiliates. So all good things there. It looked like, I think most of the other signees were there. We saw Czech Toure. We saw one of the newer signings, EJ Johnson up there. He looked good. Good. Bobasi Brahanga. Again, I'm going to struggle with Bobasi's name. We heard them calling him Bobo, so I think that's what I'm going to just call him, Bobo. He was extremely active, and he reminded me a little bit of Johan Romagna in the sense that it didn't look like he had full control of his body yet. Like he's still maturing a little bit physically. And so you can see that the raw talent, I think the soccer IQ is there, but he did some of his movements to me a little bit herky jerky. And he's still just developing physically a little bit to me is what I took away from our first Bobo sighting in person.
Yeah.
Another big one, I think, and we were actually talking with Landon about this one. Afonso Ocampo Chavez cited for the first time here in Austin, at least by us. He got the start up top for FC2, so good to see him here. Has not been present in a lot of the media that's come out. We haven't seen him with the first team at all in terms of these preseason matches or getting time there. So, I think being out there, we're starting to see how this starting lineup is going to take shape. I think the first signings that we've seen, a lot of those guys obviously are just slotted in now because we don't have a lot else. But I do think some of those guys we signed first because they're going to be priorities for this team. The draft picks, I think, are going to start the majority of the matches. Ocampo Chavez is probably going to start the majority of the matches up top, which is all good stuff. And then, again, shout out to Hernan because he knows these guys' faces. We don't. We just know the names. Irvin Torres got out there. Now we know some of the faces. Irvin Torres got out there, who's got, caps for the youth national team in the United States, in Mexico. Brian Ariano and Drake Fournier, who is apparently, shout out to Landon for this, he's been the captain of the U17s, I think, the last 2 years at center back. So seeing all those guys get out there, get some time with FC2. Again, I don't think you or I know the status of those guys, like Anthony DeAnda, right? We know he's aged out of the academy system. So I don't know how much we'll see of those guys, but hopefully a lot. And it was good to get kind of our first in-person glimpses of them as we, kind of prepared to cover this team a little bit this season.
And shout out Hernan
Yeah.
it was awesome. He had a lot of really good things to say about Drake Fournier, right?
Yeah, he did. He
Just
did as
that
well.
he was a leader, and that's something that, you can't really teach. So it was great to have him there pointing out these guys and to get a good look at them, to start here. And they're obviously, a little behind the pro club with their schedule and when their season starts. But I am looking forward, to being able to watch them and see these dudes develop. I do want to say, obviously, Rodriguez.
I forgot his name. And we watched the first 5 minutes. He got on the score sheet again, assist right away.
He was the one guy who was out there who looked like he did not belong at that level.
Sure. Yeah, he was too good for it.
He was too good. He was definitely too good for these guys. He is quick. He's decisive. It was great to see him like really up close because he was right on that wing on the side that we were on. And he commanded the ball too, and then he knew what he wanted to do with it, and he executed pretty much flawlessly every time I saw. He nutmegged one dude. Tried to go around him, got fouled. Nothing from the ref. He chipped another guy, ran around him. It was just clear that even though some of those defenders might have been on the U50 team, it was good to see him just really, just shine.
Yeah. Again, right? Yeah. I'm going to be interested to see, or I want to go watch them play an actual next pro team because Roots Academy, as you alluded to, again, those are mostly high school kids, academy level kids, and like no telling how young some of those guys are. And as we mentioned, and then found out later, no telling how old some of those guys were, because I think on the short notice of Dynamo 2 backing out, Roots Academy stepping up to give Austin FC 2 a match. We noticed when we went back for the second time, one of those guys that looked pretty old is old.
Indeed.
Because it was none other than Austin FC veteran Kekuta Mane out there playing against Austin FC 2. Again, he is a coach at the Roots Academy. So, again, shout out to that program for stepping up and helping the club. And again, on short, we looked over, there's nobody on their bench. It's like they literally brought everybody that they could to help out the club. And so shout out to them. Shout out to Mane, man. Say what you want about his ability or the results when he was in for us in 2021. That guy seems like a great dude, soccer lifer, and clearly, man, to go into coaching, and obviously I'm a little bit biased as a former coach, but I just always think there's always something good. There's always good intentions there when you're going to try to help the younger players, the youth, develop and improve their game in the sport that you love. So I just think by all accounts, a great dude. And we're making fun of him for being out there playing against our next pro team. But it was kind of cool to see it in hindsight.
It was great to see him. And to your point there, you can tell he really loves the game because he even enjoyed playing. You could tell
he was calling for the ball. He was
having a good time, man.
Competing.
So yeah, absolutely. So he's definitely a student of the game and somebody who can provide, the students of the future game with some, important knowledge. And it was great to see that academy, and shout out to them and Sonny and everything that they do, because that's good business for Austin football all around.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Last piece of business here in our last business day segment. A familiar last name with the signing announced yesterday. Austin FC 2 announced that they had signed Cristo Vela to its next pro roster. Yes, that is the nephew of LAFC star Carlos Vela. So Cristo joins ATX FC 2 on loan from Cancun FC, which is in the Liga de Expansión MX.
I want to play in that league.
Yeah.
I saw where he came from, and I was like, damn, bro.
Cancun FC? Why are you leaving?
Yeah, I was like, damn, man. I want to go play it for Cancun FC.
Yeah. To be honest, I should have looked this up. I am interested to see, is Liga de Expansión, is that their version of Next Pro? Is it a youth? Is it an academy thing? Like, what is that? Regardless.
Yeah.
Vela, 18-year-old attacking midfielder, also spent times in the youth systems of Liga MX clubs. This is my best attempt at this year. Nahaka and then Chivas Guadalajara. Those are the two youth systems that he spent time in before signing with Cancun FC in July of last year. 14 appearances for Vela with Cancun, 1 goal scored. So again, it's pretty wild. His dad is Carlos's brother. They look almost identical. Cristo himself looks like Carlos too. So a big name to be sure. And again, with the other signings, especially after watching the guys for a little bit this past weekend, I'm starting to just have faith that these guys that we're bringing in for FC2 are good prospects.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he definitely has the bloodline there.
Yeah, no doubt. So it'll be interesting to watch Vela's development there with FC2. Some other Austin FC news. I mean, I don't even know if this is news. This is just like celebration worthy. We've been throwing a party since Fabrizio Romano reported it yesterday. It became official this morning with a press conference that followed, a hype video, everything like that. Sebastian Driussi, 4-year extension. Let's fucking go, E. Let's go,
right, baby. That's right.
Love to see it.
It is a party. And I mean, the highest paid player now or one of?
So like we won't know, right? Because stupid MLS salary, they don't disclose it. They do the 2 releases. Like, so I think we'll get a release here a month or 2 into the season. And then after the summer window, we get the second release of everybody's salary. So we'll know. And we might not actually know then, because I imagine with the extension, I think that kicks in after this year because he was still under contract this year. So he's probably still on his old salary this year. Again, we're certainly not experts in how MLS contracts work yet. And so we may actually, thinking about it now, just talking it out live with you, we may not know until next year.
Outside of, first goal at the stadium, first playoff win, this is about as big as it gets for this club right now.
Yeah.
Holding on to a talent like that. Obviously someone we know can play in better leagues.
Yeah. They did confirm that there was at least one offer on the table from a Premier League club.
Yeah. So, I mean, locking him up for 4 years with this club is just, I mean, it was like Christmas in February.
Yeah. I mean, it's so encouraging to be able to lock up a guy like that who is still very much, in my opinion, just coming into his prime. I think turned 27 last week. It's just, man,
awesome.
3 years guaranteed, club option in 2026. I mean, to be able to have Seba, you would think, through what would be his age 30 or 31 season, we're getting prime Driussi.
Absolutely.
And like, it just raises the floor for the club in all competitions so much higher than it is without him, obviously. But like, man, I know everybody was excited, and
awesome.
we were included.
Yeah.
The group chat was buzzing yesterday when we first, that tweet first got sent in there, and great news.
Awesome news.
Other bit of good news here, and we can credit Landon Cotham, who's now our good buddy.
On record. Good buddy.
With the news that CONCACAF Champions League round 1 against Violet AC or AC, however you say it, the team out of Haiti, right? Who the big question was, and it was looking more doubtful, I think, that they were going to be able to get enough players on travel, temporary visas, whatever it is, to come play the second leg here in the United States. Now it seems that is actually going to happen. They have got 16 players through on visa. They are looking to fill out the rest of their roster, I guess, with players from outside of Haiti. So to be honest, man, as long as they don't come over here with the Monstars and knock us out in round 1, like, get whoever they can, fill out the team, and let's play these games, because obviously being able to get that bye to round 2 takes the potential 180 minutes off of our guys' legs. helps out the regular season, etc. But like, man, I want CCL, man. I want to play these games. I want to earn our way through. And it looks like we're going to be able to do that. So your thoughts on those matches potentially happening, like gets us an extra home game.
Yeah, no, I'm excited as well. Want to see us in that capacity in that type of tournament. And like you said, the benefits of being able to, roll over these other games that, we might not have to play. Okay. I do want to see this club come in. And we got so many tournaments this year. So many cool things to be looking forward to. This is just another one for a long list.
Yeah. More good news. Micah Burton out there with the U.S. U17s World Cup qualifying this month. I believe got the start up top last night against Trinidad. Did score the first goal. I believe the U.S. won 3-0. Mm-hmm. Scored the goal with a certain part of his body, it looked like.
The old crotch bump.
They all count the same. So great to see Micah doing well out there. And again, hopefully they continue to do well. They qualify. And then Micah can be representing Austin FC at the U17 World Cup later this year. That would be great.
Super happy for the kid.
Tomorrow night is the kit release party at Native Hostel.
Ooh.
Season ticket holders, I believe, are the ones that had the opportunity to RSVP and get in there. You and I will be there.
We are season ticket holders.
And I think both of us very excited to see the new kit. Obviously, the blurry leak that happened last week. We also got a little crumb today from the Driussi extension hype video where he's kind of in the shadows with a light coming from behind him. He puts on a jersey. I think we'll see, like, it looked like that came from a shoot that they did late last week based on some of the pictures that the media team members were posting that I saw. Mm-hmm. But you can see through that light and the shadow and the little theatrical smoke they had going on there. You can see some horizontal lines. You can see some vertical lines on this jersey. So I don't know, man. I'm hyped for the party to go see some of our Verde friends, hopefully meet some new ones or just people we haven't been able to meet in real life yet at Native Hostel. Obviously, you are a fan of Native. You are a fan of Austin FC. So I imagine you're pretty stoked for Wednesday night.
Yeah. Also, I mean, this has just been one of the most hot topics for the community in a minute. With the leaks, the non-leaks, people speculating about what's coming. I'm a big fan of Native Hostel for sure. It's a great little spot. And I am a big fan of Austin FC as well. So I also am a season ticket holder. So yes, I do think I'll be there and that I'm excited.
Well, excited to see everybody there tomorrow night or tonight, depending on where you're listening, or hopefully we saw you last night or nights before if you're listening later in the week. I'm getting a haircut tomorrow.
All right. I think I'm going to have to book one. I finally got a barber.
Hey, there you go.
We'll see.
You're picky with that.
Yeah, no, I'm a baby. They don't call me baby for nothing.
Quick trip around the other MLS news of the week. Julian Araujo, third straight week we've talked about him. Apparently, Barcelona still wants to sign him in the summer. So we talked about how that could be a huge disappointment, letdown, and we were disappointed for him. If he gets to go, then fine. It's just a little delay. Hope that happens. So,
get him out of here.
Yeah, good luck for him. Yeah, get him out of the Western Conference.
Yeah, get him out.
Aubameyang, I think we talked about that rumor last week. Talks are, quote, getting more serious, according to our boy Tom Bogert. Apparently, Chelsea would cover 100% of his salary until the summer. So 11 days for LAFC to bring him in before the season actually starts. Obviously, the transfer window goes longer than that. So I do think at some point we're going to see Aubameyang to LAFC.
That'll submarine some teams in best ball.
It definitely doesn't help the ceiling of a team that has like Denny Bouanga, Moon Tower guys. Doesn't help us with Carlos Vela. So I guess maybe we'll say it'll help Vela, right? Like it helps him. He'll get some assists.
Yeah.
Maybe Aubameyang assists him, and they just freeze Bouanga out because he's on Moon Tower's team.
I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. busy week for NYCFC, and some big moves for them. You know, we've talked about them as a team that may take a step back, losing a lot of key players since Tati left in the transfer window last year. They sold him, right? They did agree to a permanent deal with City Torque to keep Santi Rodriguez, who is that's a key move for them because Santi Rodriguez can play and kind of cover up for some of those losses. And he was already a good player for them last year. So being able to keep him, boost their 11 and just their overall outlook this season. They're also in talks to acquire Richie Ledesma from PSV on loan, the 22-year-old with 1 U.S. cap, injury-riddled last couple seasons, but was a staple with the U.S. youth national team coming up. I guess the only thing I have to say about this is, when do we get some of that PSV goodness with our partnership with them? Why isn't he coming here? I don't know.
It's a very good question.
Another move for NYCFC. So, you know, like we've talked about with them, they may look like they're taking a step back, and with the connections that ownership group has, they won't stay down for long.
Yeah.
One more thing here, Vancouver finalizing 2 signings. One, the 25-year-old forward from RSL, Sergio Cordova, 9 goals, 2 assists in 2,300 minutes last year, and Yohei Takaoka, who is a 26-year-old goalkeeper. He won the 2022 Japanese League title and was a Best 11 award winner in that league. So looks like a pretty good keeper coming in there to Vancouver, and we know Cordova can be a threat there in the attack. And then the MLS fantasy game is up. Prices for week 1 are posted. So we like the fantasy, and we'll certainly be playing that this year as well. But again, shame on them for, waiting until, like, we had to kind of give them a kick in the rear end, I think, with the best ball league. We got our best ball league active before the official game. Come on, guys. We're trying to grow the game here. Put us in charge of the game.
They took notice, for sure.
Put us in charge of the fantasy department. We'll take new heights.
Okay, we'll take over. We already got full season NFL props out for 2024.
Correct.
Full season. Props.
Speaking of props, let's get into our nonsense here. We'll do our own over-under competition this season. And again, we love the props, the gambling, all that stuff. Shout out to Moon Tower, the OGs of the Austin FC over-unders. Again, we did not want to do this before those guys put out their annual segment with Marcelo Tesson, the games master of Moon Tower Soccer. Official title, according to them. So how we're going to do this here, we don't have a games master here. So we are each going to come up with, or we have come up with 10 props each and set a line. So I've set 10 lines for Ian. Ian has set 10 lines for me. And then the other person will make their over-under selection and point to the, if E sets, Driussi goals over under 100, and I take the over, of course. When he scores 101 goals this year, I get the point. If he somehow only scored 99 because he's an unselfish god who just also had 58 assists, point Ian, but also point Austin FC because the greatest team in the world. So that's how it's going to work. 20 potential points on the board. And if we tie, I think we're going to have to come up with a tiebreaker later on because we don't plan that far ahead.
That's correct.
We're not professionals here. We're just hip firing. So I guess I'll ask you this live because we didn't really plan the segment. Do you want to alternate here? Do you want me to fire all 10 of mine? You guess, and then we switch. What do you think?
Probably alternate. Yeah.
Okay, we can alternate. I'm going to take the first prop then myself, and I'll fire it at you. What we know the props, but we don't know the actual line, right? So we know the question that's coming, each of us, but we don't know where the other set the line. So my first question to you, E, is number of Emiliano Rigoni MLS regular season goals. So again, that's just the 34 MLS regular season games. The line is set at 9.5. Shadow sporting director Claudio Reyna said he expects 10 plus goals from a DP level player in that position. So 9.5 is the line set by the shadow sporting director himself.
I also have a Rigoni prop, and the line is also 9.5. So get ready for that.
Yeah, you might
So
as well fire that one next at me.
basically, am I looking at him going double goals,
Yeah.
assists here? 34 regular season MLS games. He has 0 right
He
now.
has 0 right now. And 0
Um,
preseason as well, although 1 assist in the preseason.
That's right. For the good of Austin FC, for the good of our best ball fantasy team, I'm going to go ahead and take the over 9.5
Yes.
Emiliano Rigoni goals, whose
Yes.
name I forgot during the best ball draft.
Yeah, but you said Rigoni, but you forgot the first name.
Yeah, I did.
I also I frequently catch myself almost calling him Emmanuel Rigoni.
That's what I wanted to say. It was probably you rubbing off on me.
Yeah, that's what it was. So
okay.
So now number of assists, 9.5 for
Correct.
Rigoni, for the exact same reasons as you. And we're off to just an enthralling start here.
Boom.
For the exact same reasons as you, I will take the over 9.5 assists and hope that it is a 9-goal, 17 assist season for Emiliano Rigoni.
Okay.
So I can get double points there. But all right, first one's up, first one's down. My second prop to you. The number of MLS regular season home games, so 17 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And we already know that this number is guaranteed to be 1 because we're missing the Montreal match.
Mm-hmm.
Number of MLS regular season home games that Ian will miss. The line is set at 2.5. I believe you have hit the over with 3 in each of the first 2 seasons. So either you are going to continue to go over, and this is one that you have control over. So a little dangerous by me, but if you go over, less of a fan. So over under 2.5 games that you're going to miss this year.
So we already got one on the board,
right?
For a Verde wedding.
Correct.
I'm going to do some quick homework here. Just take a look at the schedule.
Okay.
I'm going to take the over.
Okay. Over on 2.5 games. And certainly, I don't think you'll be upset if you lose that one. But I will certainly be upset if you win it, because that means I don't have my partner there. All right. Your second prop.
Okay. Let's go. All right. I am going with a club prop here.
Okay.
Austin FC Championships next season. Line is 1.
Okay, so we can have a push here.
Yes, I'm allowing the push.
Okay. So there's 6 available, right? So we've got Supporter Shield, Cup, CCL, Open Cup, Leagues Cup, and Copa Tejas. Copa Tejas, absolutely a real championship, a title, a trophy. And anybody who says otherwise is probably just a peasant Dallas or Houston fan.
They're not from Texas.
Correct. Man. Like, I want to. The problem is setting it at 1 is a great line because I do think we win Copa Tejas again. So it really comes down to, do we win another one or not? And I guess I'm just going to be positive here and optimistic, and I'll do an over because I appreciate the safety of the push there, because over under 1.5, like over under a half, I would have to take the over, but then it would be so goddamn painful if we didn't get it.
Yeah, had to be 1 there.
I would take the over 1.
Okay. It's on the books.
Right. My third prop to you, sir, and this is one that I will say, we have not met Marcelo from Moon Tower yet, the games master there. I would like to in the future. Seems like a really cool dude. I propose, so he actually crowdsourced some of his props for their game from the LV Slack. Nice. And the one that I threw in there was games started in all competitions at right back by Johnny Gallagher. And I said 5.5. Now, this was a lot closer to the Lundqvist trade acquisition, where the hubbub was, now John G is going to move over to the right, and that's just what's going to happen. Well, guess what? It took 4 preseason matches to see any minutes on the right from John Gallagher. And now, like, honestly, with Hector Jimenez moving up and playing some left wing, it made me a little bit more nervous about this prop. But I will say, Marcelo, you kind of laughed me off the stage when I put that number on there saying it would be way over. And I don't think so. I think this is a great line. Number of games started at right back by Johnny Gallagher, 5.5. Started at right back.
Started.
Well,
we were a very fortunate team injury-wise last year.
That's true. We've had great injury luck over the last 12 months. There's no doubt about it.
We were quite healthy. So I would assume that we kind of regressed towards the mean there.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we are thinnest at the back.
Sure.
So I will also take the over here. Mr. Utility, the jackknife, the Irish Swiss Army knife himself. We'll move him around. I'll take the over on 5.5.
All right. I like it. It's on the books. And hit me with your next one.
Next one is MVP awards won this season by the man, Seba.
Okay, so over under a half MVP award.
0.5.
All right. Man. This is why it's tough to do these for our favorite team.
Yeah, I'm realizing that now that we're pretty much just going to be.
You want to, you want to be the optimistic one. You know what? Just for in the spirit of competition, and one of my favorite pastimes is trying to beat you in competitions.
Trying.
I'm trying. I succeed most of the time.
Trying.
I don't know. Sometimes. I'm going to take the under.
Wow.
Much to the dismay of the listeners, I'm sure. I'm going to take the under, not because I don't think Driussi is going to be MVP. He is always going to be my MVP. Mm-hmm. But I don't trust the writers. I don't trust the reactionaries. I don't trust the system. So I will take under, and he will continue to be the MVP in my heart. Under a half MVP trophy for Driussi this year.
So 101 goals, 58 assists.
Correct.
0 MVP trophies.
Correct.
Wow.
It's a crazy league.
Hell of a
crazy league. All right, next one from me to you, sir, is number of goals in all competitions. So MLS regular season, CCL, Open Cup, and this is all currently five on the depth chart. So we're including Romagna here, Tarek, Väisänen, Kip, and Julio. All competitions, number of goals from our center backs, and the line is set at 6.5.
Julio's good for like 2.
Mm-hmm. I believe there was 6 all of last year.
Julio and that was Ruben. With Ruben.
Yeah, now, obviously no Romagna goals, no Kip goals yet.
I don't really know Väisänen well enough to know if he, has a bit of a nose for the goal.
Right.
So I will take the under on that one.
Mm-hmm.
We said 6.5?
Yes, sir. So under 6.5.
Under 6.5.
Center back goals in all competitions.
For that one.
All right.
Okay. All right. This one is a total league prop. So we're going with most goals scored in a single game by a player.
Okay. All competitions?
All competition.
Okay.
4.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
So taking the over, I'm saying 5 goals scored by one player in a single game?
Yeah.
I will take the under.
Okay.
All right.
I feel weird setting it at 4.
True. I mean, you already did it. We're already on record as me taking the under. So I've given you feedback here. I would have said 3.5.
Well, if you're projecting one guy to score 101 goals, I think.
Oh, you're right. That's good. That's a good point. That's a good point.
You're just hedging yourself all over the place here.
Destroyed by facts and logic. My next one to you. Total number of Austin FC goals scored in the MLS regular season.
Okay.
Last season was 65 goals. Obviously, much less, sub 50 in the first season. I don't think we see that type of regression. And I also think that you and I and other people have the idea in mind that they could be even more potent on offense this year. So the line is set at 65.5 total number of MLS regular season goals scored. Again, 34 games, 65.5 total goals scored is the line.
Man, so that's like what, 1.3 a game? 0.4?
Quick maths.
65.
Closer to 2.
Yeah. Yeah, 1.5, 1.8. Just let me keep saying 1 point something until I get there.
Till you get closer, yeah.
1.7.
Golden.
I'm going to go ahead and take the under on that.
Okay.
I think we're like around the 61 to 63 area.
Okay, fair enough.
For the
little
season.
regression. I think 60 plus goals would still be in that top tier of offensive output. So
I agree.
Decent bet there. What's my next one?
Another MLS prop.
Okay.
Yours is most goals scored in a single game combined.
So by the team.
So
both goals by the team.
Goals in the game.
Oh, so total, like a game total.
Yes.
Oh my God. Well, we do play San Jose twice.
The line is 7.5.
Yeah, I'll take over. Easy over for me.
Easy.
I just think we get in we've made, I think, some improvements to the back line. I still don't think we're in the top tier in terms of our back four. And I just think the style of play in this league, like I mentioned, we have to play San Jose fucking twice. Like we've seen big, high scoring games. You said 7.5 was the line. I can see a 4-4 draw popping up. I can see a 5-3 at some point. So I will take the over on the madness over 7.5 goals in a total in a game. And that was all competitions, right?
Indeed.
Okay. Yeah, we might put up 8 on fucking San Antonio. Like, man, we aren't in the draw, because we have the bye in the Open Cup, right? So I want to see them so badly. And
careful what you wish for, bro.
Well, man, come on, man. You don't think we get them again? We're not putting it on them.
I would assume that we would, yes. But I also assumed we were going to win that game when we
True. And they are defending champions. Yeah, man, it's just we have that bye, so they could get knocked out before they even get to us, and I really want them to get to us, and I want to host that match, and like I said, put it on them. So, anyways, your next prop is Brad Stuver goals conceded per 90, MLS games only. The first season it was 1.6. Last season it was 1.4. So goals conceded per 90 by Stuver. The line is 1.5.
This is not a knock on Stuver by any means, but I am going to go over.
Okay.
Like you said, obviously the style of play, our mismatched kind of back line here that is just coming together. Also the fact that, we think we're going to have a pretty potent offense. So you should see some other teams really come out of their shells and try to score on us. I think he probably hits 1.6 again. So I'm going to go with the over there.
All right. The over on Stuver goals conceded per 90. And then my next prop is?
Your next prop might be the best one on the sheet here.
Oh, yes.
Goals scored by one Rodney Redis.
Oh, the Lord.
All competition.
Okay.
1.5.
Oh, I'm going over. I'm a believer. All competitions is an over for me because I think he plays a lot in some of those games we rotate, whether it's Leagues Cup, Open Cup, whatever. We're going to see some Rodney Redis spot minutes as well in the regular season. So, yeah, I'm a believer, I guess. Sign me up. Third time's the charm, over 1.5 goals for the man with no MLS goals through 2 seasons. Give me 2 or more.
He's definitely scoring this year. He is
100%.
Scoring.
Yes. Can't wait. All right, next one up for you. Most red cards in the season by a single player. This is MLS games only, again. The line is set at 1.5, and the number most red cards by a single player in the season, each of the first 2 seasons, has been 2. Alex Ring in year 1, Danny Pereira last year. So the line is 1.5 red cards as the most on the team.
Exclusively to Austin FC.
Yes.
Over. Alex Ring is still on the team.
Okay. Fair enough. Over on 1.5 for any player on the team throughout the season. Ian, bonus point if it is Alex Ring. Next prop from you, sir.
Very nice. Number of MLS All-Stars from Austin FC.
Ooh, that's a good one.
The line is 2.5.
2.5. Woo! All right, I will take the under.
Okay.
I think the number is 2. So I do think we exceed the 1 we got last year. Obviously, all of us know it should have been 2 with Diego Fagundes last year. I think he gets it again this year. And again, I am very happy to be wrong about this prop, because if we have 3 or more All-Stars, you're having either a fantastic year again from Stuver, but like taking it up to another level. You're seeing like Leo Väisänen make a bigger impact than we think. You're seeing a guy like Rigoni. One of those guys is having a massive season. Maybe Zardes up top, right? And then you're also like Driussi, Fagundes getting in there as well. But I will take the under for the game, and get a point if we're disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, I had obviously Seba and Diego as my 2 there, and then I looked at Driussi and Stuver as potentially 2 kind of candidates that could jump in as well and get us to 3. So that was my my thought process on the 2.5 there.
When I think that is like I pretty much snap under that. I think it's closer than I initially thought, because Stuver, I think, has an easier path than most positions. I think he's already, after these first 2 years as a starter, really highly held in high regard across the league, and by the pundits as well. So it doesn't hurt to be like the greatest human alive off the field as well. Like that endears you to a lot of people. So
true.
Maybe I do lose that one. And again, if I lose that one, we're having a great year. So, all right. Jumping back to this one, 3 left on each side here. These are getting a little bit off the board or off the wall. Not necessarily first team centric. This one is first team centric, but this isn't guaranteed to happen. So this prop is the length. We saw a contract extension today for Driussi. There's still a very important guy without an extension. So the length of Diego Fagundes' upcoming potential contract extension, including option years, the number is set at 2.5 years. So if he gets no contract extension by the end of the year, that's a 0. That's an under.
Yep. I'm going to take the over. 2 years with an option.
Nice. Love it.
That's where I'm at. And when you were presenting that question, I was sitting at 2.5, like, okay.
Yeah.
That's where I could see that landing.
Yeah.
Okay. My next prop is number of multi-goal games from Giassi Zardes this year.
Ooh. Okay, just regular season or all comps?
All competitions.
Okay.
2.5.
I don't know how many, I don't see Giassi starting or maybe even playing in the first game or 2 of the Open Cup. If you make it past the first one, probably going to play in leagues, probably going to play some in CCL, if not the majority of time. So multi-goal games.
Indeed.
The line is what, 2.5, you said?
Correct.
I will go, it's a good line. I will go over, only because I know that 3 of his 9 goals for Colorado last year came in 1 game. So he can score in bunches, and I'll say he does that in bunches this year. I'll take over 2.5 on multi-goal Zardes games. That was a good one.
Thank you.
All right, even less knowledge, I guess, for both of us on this one, but I thought it was a fun one. There are 28 teams in the MLS Next Pro League. Will Austin FC2 finish above or below 11.5 place? So above 11th or above, or 12th and below, 28 teams. So I'm giving you more than half there if you take the under, but we did see those boys playing against a team of grown men and children. They look pretty good. 6-0 win. I don't think we actually mentioned the score, 6-0 in that game against Roots Academy. So over under 11.5 place for Austin FC2, aka the Young Boys.
I am going to say we finish above.
Yep.
With my very limited knowledge on what the rest of the MLS2 teams look like.
Yeah, they probably look like Roots Academy, so we're going to be undefeated.
Okay. Well, then I feel good about my choice. Man, it's going to be a great year.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun.
We're totally not setting ourselves up for failure.
Yeah, everybody's setting records. All right, 2 more from you, 1 more from me.
Indeed. All right. We're going to, do a little cross-platform promotion here. Goals versus Wrexham.
Aha.
When we play them, 4.5.
Okay. And I imagine if for some reason that game doesn't happen, that would be an under. We expect that game to happen, right?
Probably just a null.
Just push it or avoid it. Okay.
Yeah. I'll give you 0.5 point.
Man, see, I think both of us expect to beat them handily if that game does happen.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a mid-season friendly, maybe we're not playing all of our guys. Certainly not the full 90. I'm going to go under 4.5.
Okay.
Another one. This isn't official, but what's that?
Are they going to play their guys?
I would think so. Their season will be over. They're on their U.S. tour, right? They're doing it for the fans. I don't know.
Good point. Yeah.
I think this is not an official one, but over under a half Super Paul Mullen chant from us when we watch those guys play. I would take the over on that one
for sure.
All right, what? Sorry, this is a live podcasting, everybody. But if you've got your notifications set up for certain teams, why is Austin FC tweeting 3 trees and 3 green hearts? I'm sure they're just responding to people here, but let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, okay. So just responding to Driussi's official tweet today acknowledging the extension, and Fab Romano also 4 minutes ago saying official confirmed. Driussi signs new deal with Austin FC, valid until June 2026.
Don't matter how many times you say it, it never gets old.
Yeah, for sure. All right, 1 more each here. My final one for you is in the entire league in MLS, the number of goals for the Golden Boot winner. The number last year was 23 for the villain, Hani Mukhtar, Driussi, and Gazdag at 22. So the line is 22.5. Number of goals for the Golden Boot winner when all is said and done. I mean, we know Driussi scoring 101, so should be an over.
22.5, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to go over.
Yeah.
I'm going to go over on that. I think there's just too much talent in the league
right
now. Obviously, the game is being advanced over here. Obviously offense is what puts seats in the butts or butts in the seats.
Yeah.
Don't put your seat into your butt, fellas. Don't do that.
There's the episode title.
Yes, I'm going to take the over there. There's a dearth of talent
it's a good
in
word.
This league right now, and we should see some high scoring games.
Yeah, I agree. And that would be, and hopefully it's not one guy running away with it, right? That we have a chase like we did last year, because even though Seba came up 1 short, that was fun as hell the last 6 weeks of the season.
It was.
And Gazdag, coming up late, putting his name into the ring there. So, yeah, that'll be I think that's one of the better lines that we have. Some of our lines I think are silly. That one is probably going to come down to it, and that'll be fun to track throughout the season. So, last prop here from you to me. What do you got?
I got a North End prop for you, North End podcast.
Oh, North End special.
Yeah.
We love the special props.
Number of Twitter followers for the North End podcast by the end of the calendar year 2023.
Okay.
999.5.
Ooh. End of the calendar year. All right. We'll do some quick math here. We've had the Twitter account we started posting 2nd week of August 2022. So it's been about 6 months. It actually might be 6 months to the day today since our first episode. I think August 14th. So we've got 492 right now. Mm-hmm. A little bit more. I mean, it's, closer to, it's like 10.5 months till the end of the year.
Indeed.
And I will say, with the success that we think our club is going to have this year, therefore more fans, therefore more interest on the social medias. We're at 492 as we speak right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say over. I'm going to say we're into 4 digits by New Year's Eve 2023. So I need some help from our friends out there, I guess. We got to pump it up. Unless you're trying to have the evil villain, Driussi Dior here, take down the over-unders competition. Maybe we'll have some people unfollow. Like, you're going to have all your best friends are going to unfollow the pod and try to screw me. We'll see. Well, there you go. 20 props up, 20 props down. We'll keep track of that throughout the year. And we will have some more nonsense on next week's pod. We like doing these competitions between ourselves, our friends, and we're going to keep that going here until the season starts 11 days from now. If you're still with us, we're back up. Last week's episode, we were just under an hour for the first time in what felt like months. Back to 80 minutes here on episode 30 of the North End Podcast. We appreciate you sticking with us. If you've got 5 seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, wherever you get your podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. If you're listening on the YouTube channel, you can subscribe, hit the notification bell to know when a new episode pops up or when we go live. And again, hit the thumbs up on this episode. Helps us with the old algorithm there. We will see everybody Wednesday night at Native Hostel for the kit release. My wallet is ready to get a little bit lighter buying one of those authentic new kits. Can't wait to see what it looks like. Preseason match tomorrow as well, closed to the public. Final preseason match coming up this Saturday against Inter Miami out there in Miami. And then we'll see you back here next week for episode 31, which will be our final preseason episode. We will have our first game preview of the year. I don't know, man. My blood's pumping. I'm ready to go. Any last words for this episode, E?
Don't put a seat in your butt, fellas.
It's great advice. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you next time. For Ian, I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.
3, 2,